Hi, yes, Sundaram here, talking about my own family legacy. A concept from Glenn. I was listening to the clubhouse where Glenn was talking about it. Well, I've been producing my professional legacy, but why not for family legacy? And what for I should do that? Well, many a times I felt that if I had some other information from my past, it'd be useful to me. One of the problems which I faced is who is my family god? No, in Hindus there is something like a family god, or your own. There is one god or goddess who is protecting your family. So many a time that has come to us. Many of our rituals. They ask me who is your உங்க குடும்ப கடவுள் யார் அப்படின்னு கேட்பாங்க. I don't have an answer for that. And many of my own contemporaries, my uncle's son, because I know a little better when compared to them, and I'm just 64 years young. And they asked me, "Who's your family?" Our family common god is there. We do not know. We do not know. That's why we lost certain roots of information from our past. So that is one reason, and sometimes to inspire yourself. I don't know what are the reasons my future generation will make use of this. Let me talk to you about my father on this episode. My father was born in a native place called Tirunelveli, Alvarth, Tirkulur near Alvarth Nagari. And still I went to the house there. His father was, I was told that his father was carrying thorns. It was, you can understand that old forest days where the forest was being cleared and some portion of the thorn was being cleared. And he used to, he was working like a coolie. He used to take the thorns baggage on his back shoulder and he used to deliver it. That was a coolie story of my grandfather, Shankar Lingam Pillai, and my father's name is S Pattrpiran. Pattrpiran was called Pattrpiran, and when he came down to north, he was called Pattrpiran. And I have a lot of good qualities in my father. He was a very daring guy. He was a police guy. He was an ex-army guy, and he was very what do you call karma yogi. He was a very until the last moment he was working. Even at I think he died uh, the age of 70 plus, and even on that day also he went on his bicycle. He went to his flower shop. He did the delivery on the last 2 days he could not do. And he was just sleeping there, and I thought he's taking a rest, and he could do anything. When I touched him, he told, "Don't disturb me." That's all I was asking him. Is it okay? Don't disturb me. That was maybe it was a stroke. Afterwards, I came to know it was a stroke. 2 days he was just sleeping, but the voice was there. Whenever he used to touch, noise was there. That I was told. Later on, I realized it was a stroke. To tell you about my father, had a very very bad days from my childhood. He has got a large family of his brothers and sisters. And I did not know what love and affection he had for his brothers and sisters. I have a love and affection for my children, for my sisters. He went to I think when he was on fourth class or so, he was asked to go and work somewhere, and the monthly salary was only 4 rupees, and his father, that is my grandfather, used to take off. So then he felt this is not the way I work, and he takes off. I don't have any independency. I was told that I have seen his eighth class certificate, and he went to Sri Lanka. Whatever relatives were there, and there he was coordinating with the harbor activities, and he was good at English, and he was good at so basic English. He could talk to the foreigners there and get the ports cleared, harbor cleared, all the items for the temple. And he used to see he was working in a what do you call a dry chili powder. We can call it a sort of a grinding machine shop where he used to sleep, and he was getting the oil bath. What he used to get was rice, food. Then they had to see that clean, and he used to get the salary. Salary was to get that salary, and then he used to get their salary and oil bath for oil, the till oil they used to give. This was the perks for him, and somehow from there he moved to. Who at the time there was a recruitment for Second World War. He went into that, and there he met his friend Koteya, who was a close friend of him. Both were in the army. Then after army disbanded, then he came to India was formed. Then he was recruited. He was a wireless operator in army, and then he was recruited a wireless operator in the police department. That is how he started his life. He didn't my mother after his office at that time. He was asked to two options was given to him, whether he should go to Maharashtra or he should go to Andhra. He applied for Maharashtra, but he got Andhra. That is how he worked in Andhra Pradesh, and most of the time he used to be different parts, and I used to go with them. And man, he had a habit of making part-time income, maybe to make use of his brothers, fund brothers and sisters. And still, I have that habit of making part-time income in me. Even when I was working for Bell, I used to have counseling, and I used to have some tuitions, and that part-time income was something which is running in my blood. And my father also didn't believe in full part-time income, but he has a main job of a police department, and then this was a part-time business for him. He was giving, he was a pawn broker. He used to keep that. Of course, pawn brokers, these brokers are people who pledge something, but it was not a pledge. It was only a sort of a trust. So that was there. Daily evening, I used to see that he had 3 or 4 people as a part-time employees, and they used to collect the money every week. And daytime was doing his police department work, and in the evening he used to do that. The same thing I have also done. When I was daytime, I was working for Bell, and the evenings I stayed away from 30 kilometers away from the company, and there I had a clinic, and part-time clinic I had evening. So maybe the blood is running in me. Then of course the negative side of it, I would not say the negative side of it. I had an impact because the influx of his brothers and sisters, and it has disrupted my peace, my happiness, my mother's peace, and how he attempted me and my mother. We could not bear that, and attempted suicide many number of times. Recently, I went and I took a photograph of the well we attempted suicide, but my family doesn't want that memory. I have thrown it off. So yes, I'm not telling there is a lot of negative side of my father. One negative side was he was bringing. He had one thing at any cost. He wanted to bring up his brothers and sisters. I would not say negative, but at that time, the whole thing I would call it only because the root cause was money. He had a little fund, and he had a big family to support. His brothers, his sisters. Okay. So I'm not against my father. No, I have a lot of respect. In fact, that alpha style of working come from my father. That part-time work till you die. Don't become a burden to anybody. And if you have hands in your money, if you have money in your hand, you can use it for your children, grandchildren, in your own way. So that's where my legendary work has started, and I thank him for that help he has started. And okay, I want every one of you to do that. Okay, so this is about my father, and I'll come back to you with more stories. Thank you. Thanks a lot.